The man across the cafe table from you is a senior official in a hostile government. He thinks you're his friend. And in approximately 90 seconds, you're going to ruin the rest of his life. You won't raise your voice. You won't threaten him. You won't even ask him for anything directly. You'll just slide a folder across the table, watch his eyes move across the page, and wait. Because that's what you do. That's what you've spent years becoming. Not a soldier, not a hacker, not an analyst sitting behind a screen processing satellite imagery. You are something older, quieter, and far more dangerous than any of that. You are a human intelligence officer. And the weapon you carry isn't a gun, it's a relationship. This is what it's like to be every level of a global HUMINT network. Level 1. The candidate. You don't find them, they find you. You're in the final year of your graduate program. International relations, or linguistics, or area studies, something that signals you understand the world differently than most people. A professor you genuinely respect mentions a consulting opportunity. Vague, but well paid. He says you came highly recommended. He doesn't say by whom. You go to the first meeting out of curiosity. What you expect is a government contractor, maybe a think tank, the kind of bland institutional job that uses your degree without testing your mind. What you get instead is 4 hours of the strangest interview you've ever sat through. They don't ask about your resume, they ask about your judgment. They give you ethical dilemmas with no clean answers and watch how you reason through them. They ask about your family relationships, how do you handle conflict, do you hold grudges, what's the longest secret you've ever kept. They ask about your tolerance for ambiguity. What do you do when you don't know the right answer and you have to act anyway? You leave exhausted. You leave intrigued. 3 weeks later, they call you back. You still don't entirely know what this is, but you already know you're going to say yes. Level 2. The farm. You arrive at a facility that doesn't look like anything. No signs, no uniforms, no dramatic entrance. It's a Thursday morning in Virginia, and the air smells like cut grass and something unnameable underneath. The place is officially known as Camp Peary. Unofficially, everyone calls it the farm. It's a 9,000-acre training facility outside Williamsburg, and for the next year and a half, it will quietly disassemble everything you think you know about the world and rebuild it according to different rules. Your instructors don't use their real names. You don't use yours. The first week is designed to disorient you. You run surveillance detection routes through mock urban environments, trying to identify whether you're being followed, by whom, and for how long, without ever appearing to look. You practice what the instructors call elicitation, the art of extracting specific information from a person through natural conversation, without them ever realizing they've been interviewed. You fail constantly in those early weeks. Everyone does. But then something starts to shift. Around week 6, you have a training conversation with an instructor playing a foreign diplomat at a dinner party. Afterward, your debrief runs for 40 minutes. You've clocked his financial anxieties from 2 offhand comments about real estate. You've identified a serious tension with his superior from the way he paused before using the man's name. You've noted the exact moment his guard dropped a shared joke about a sports team, and you filed that away like a key to a lock you haven't found yet. The instructor looks at your notes and says nothing for a moment. Then he nods once. That nod is the highest praise you will ever receive in this environment. One thing an instructor tells you stays with you long after the farm. He says, "You're not learning to lie. You're learning to give people exactly what they want to believe." You turn that sentence over in your mind for months. You're still turning it over now. Level 3. The case officer. Your first posting is to an embassy in a country your agency considers a priority, intelligence target. Your cover is solid. Your legend, the fabricated background, the paper trail, the professional history has been tested, stress probed, and approved. To everyone in that city, you are a mid-level political attaché. Slightly boring, professionally dependable. Exactly the kind of person no one pays close attention to. Your actual job is this: find people with access to intelligence your government needs, assess them, develop them, and when the time is right, recruit them to spy against their own country. Your first target is a foreign ministry official, mid-40s, fluent in 3 languages, passed over for promotion twice in 4 years. His salary hasn't kept pace with his lifestyle. His marriage is under pressure. He is, in the clinical language of intelligence tradecraft, ripe. The framework your training gave you has a name: mice. Money, ideology, coercion, ego, 4 reasons people betray the countries they were born into. Your target is money and ego in equal measure. You know this before you had a single real conversation with him. The first meeting is a cultural reception at a third country's embassy. You speak to him for 11 minutes. You ask nothing of significance. You listen to everything. You laugh at the right moment. You express the right mild opinion about a shared frustration. You make him feel heard in a room full of people who aren't listening. He finds you again before the evening ends. He suggests coffee sometime. You say that would be great. You drive back to your apartment and write a 12-page assessment. 3 months later, he invites you to his daughter's birthday party. You bring a gift you spent 2 hours selecting. You spend the afternoon being genuinely charming to his family. On the drive home, you file a 6-page intelligence report on every person who attended. You don't feel strange about this yet. That comes later. Level 4. The pitch. 14 months of patience come down to this. You are at a restaurant you have been to 6 times before. Because familiarity is a deliberate variable in your operational planning. The table is private, the lighting is dim. Your asset, though he isn't your asset yet, is relaxed, because you have spent over a year making sure he is always relaxed around you. You have received authorization from headquarters. The assessment is complete. The window is now. You place a slim folder on the table. It has no letterhead, no agency seal, no names anywhere on it. You slide it across toward him, and you say nothing. Inside is a single page. There is a number on that page. It is more than he earns in 4 years. You watch his face. He reads it once. He reads it again. He sets it down. He picks up his coffee and takes a slow sip. He doesn't look at you. He doesn't look at the folder. He looks at a fixed point somewhere above your left shoulder. 38 seconds pass. You count them without moving. Then he picks up the folder, folds it once, places it inside his jacket pocket, looks at you directly for the first time since you put it on the table, and says 3 words. What do you need? Just like that, you own him. And something in you, something you trained hard to suppress, knows that the word own is exactly the right word, and that knowing that should bother you more than it does. Level 5. Running the asset. The spy is yours now. So is everything that can go wrong. Communication follows a protocol refined over decades of tradecraft. Every Tuesday at 9:47 in the morning, a specific type of post appears on a public forum innocuous to anyone else, a precise signal to you. It means a dead drop has been made and intelligence is waiting. The retrieval takes 4 hours minimum. 3 separate surveillance detection routes, 2 identity changes, 1 final walk down a street you've memorized to the millimeter. What he passes you is extraordinary. He has moved up inside the ministry. His access is growing. So is his intelligence value. So is the pressure he's under. He calls you once using a phone you explicitly told him never to use. It's a Tuesday night and his voice is tight and low. He's scared. Something happened at work. A colleague asked a question that felt wrong. A security review that came too close. You talk him down for 22 minutes. You are calm, measured, warm. You use his first name 6 times, evenly spaced, because you know exactly what that does to a frightened person's nervous system. By the end of the call, he's breathing normally. He thanks you. Afterward, you sit with the phone in your hand for a long time. Then you open your laptop and file a contact report documenting the unauthorized communication and the possible security concern at his workplace. Protocol requires it. The report will be reviewed by your supervisor and by the counterintelligence desk. What it might mean for him, you don't allow yourself to finish that thought. He is the most valuable intelligence asset in your region. He is also, in a way, you've stopped trying to argue yourself out of the closest thing you have to a real friend. And those 2 facts are on a collision course that you can already see coming. Level 6. The mole hunt. Someone knows. You don't know who. You don't know how much. 3 assets across your region have gone dark in 8 weeks. Dark means stopped responding, disappeared, or in one case quietly arrested by their own government's internal security service. Headquarters sends a cable that triggers a full counterintelligence review. Every case officer operating in the theater is under assessment, including you. You are not the mole. But in a mole hunt, that is a surprisingly difficult thing to demonstrate. This is not unprecedented. In 1994, a CIA officer named Aldrich Ames was arrested after nearly a decade of passing the identities of CIA assets to Soviet and then Russian intelligence. At least 10 confirmed CIA assets were executed as a direct result. The damage to the agency's human intelligence networks in the Soviet sphere was catastrophic and lasted years. What made the Ames case particularly devastating was not just the scale of the betrayal, it was that he had been inside the building the whole time, reviewing the same files, sitting in the same meetings, shaking the same hands. You think about that now as you sit across from a counterintelligence officer you've never met before, answering questions about your operational contacts for the 4th time this week. You answer everything precisely. You offer nothing beyond what's asked. You are cooperative, and you are controlled, and underneath all of it you are more afraid than you have been since the farm. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because you now understand, with complete clarity, that the system you work for does not distinguish between guilt and proximity when there is enough pressure from above, and your asset is still active, still producing, and potentially in danger from a leak that might be inside your own agency. You can't warn him, you can't even reach out. All you can do is wait and watch the counterintelligence machinery grind forward and hope that whatever it catches, it isn't him. The most destabilizing thing this job ever taught you wasn't distrust of the enemy, it was this. Level 7. The burn. The cable arrives at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday. It is classified at a level you rarely see in routine operational traffic. The subject line is 4 words and a reference number. The body of the cable is 2 paragraphs. The first paragraph is bureaucratic language about operational security and strategic priorities. The second paragraph contains 1 instruction: cease all contact. There is no exfiltration order, no safe house activation, no protocol for warning the asset. Just those 3 words and a close of business deadline. You read it twice, then a 3rd time. You know what this means? He doesn't. As of this moment, he is a man who has spied against his own country for 4 years, who handed over intelligence that almost certainly shaped policy at the highest levels of your government, who did it partly for money and partly because you were the most consistent, trustworthy relationship in his adult life. He did all of this with one implicit understanding that if it ever fell apart, someone would come for him. The phone is in your hand. Your supervisor's number is not what you're looking at. You're looking at the secondary contact protocol for your asset, the one you've never used, the one that exists precisely for a moment like this. The cable says cease all contact. You put the phone down. You pick it up again. 14 seconds pass. You think about his daughter's birthday party. You think about the Tuesday morning signals that kept coming, week after week, because he trusted the system you represented. You think about the 22-minute phone call and the 6 times you said his name. You think about everything he risked and everything he was promised, even if it was never said directly. You put the phone down, you close the laptop, you follow the order, and you will spend the next several years of your life deciding whether that makes you a professional or a coward, and never quite arriving at an answer. Level 8. The case officer who stayed too long. You are back at headquarters now. A desk. A badge. Fluorescent lighting and the low ambient hum of a building full of people who know too much about the world and can't talk about any of it. They want you to run a training program for new recruits, case officers in development. They say your field experience makes you exactly the right person for it. You sit across from a woman who is 24 years old, linguistics degree, overseas experience, calm under pressure. She's asking the right questions, the sharp ones. She wants to understand how you build trust with a target over time without it becoming something personal. How you maintain operational clarity when the relationship starts to feel real. You look at her and you see yourself at that age and you feel something that you can't quite name, something between recognition and a kind of quiet grief. You begin to answer. You explain the psychological architecture of a long-term asset relationship. The deliberate use of vulnerability, reciprocity, and emotional availability as operational tools. The exact calibration of warmth that keeps an asset productive without creating dependency. The words come out cleanly, professionally, with authority earned from real experience. Around the 4th sentence you notice something. You notice that you are describing the systematic emotional manipulation of another human being as a tradecraft framework, and you feel completely nothing while doing it. No discomfort, no hesitation. The ethical friction that used to slow you down in those early years simply isn't there anymore. You finish the answer. She nods and takes notes. You move on to the next topic. This is what the final level of a HUMINT network actually looks like. Not a dramatic ending. not exposure or capture or some climactic moment of reckoning. Just a fluorescent office and a professional who became very good at something and lost count somewhere along the way of what that cost. The most successful intelligence officers don't burn out, they just stop noticing the fire. It is a Thursday afternoon in a city you don't think of as home anymore, though your lease says otherwise. You are sitting in a cafe. Different city than the one this started in, different country. The coffee in front of you is going cold because you stopped drinking it 20 minutes ago when the man across the table sat down. He is a foreign ministry official, mid-40s, fluent in 3 languages, passed over for promotion twice in the last 4 years. He thinks you're a consultant, someone a mutual contact recommended. He likes you. You can tell. People always like you. You have spent a very long time making sure of it. He is talking about the pressures of his job, the politics of his department, the feeling of being undervalued by people with less ability and more connections. He isn't telling you anything sensitive yet. He doesn't know he's doing anything at all. He just thinks he's having a conversation with someone who finally gets it. You smile at exactly the right moment, in the party remind where something like a conscience used to ask questions. There is only the quiet, professional sound of assessment, access level, motivation profile, recruitment timeline. The soft, mechanical click of a process that no longer requires you to think about what it means. The man across the table laughs at something he said. He reaches for his coffee. He is completely at ease. He has no idea what you are. He has no idea what's coming. And neither did you, once.